This is We the Sales Engineers Podcast, show 325.
Welcome to We the SEs podcast, the show for sales engineers by sales engineers with your host, Ramsey Majaba.
And we're back. It's been a while, folks. If you don't know me and you're listening to episode 325, my name is Ramsey Majaba. I'm a solutions specialist out of Ottawa, Canada, and I've been doing this podcast since 2018 in the hopes of helping other SEs. And I have 325 episodes in 6 years, or 324 episodes in 6 years. This is episode 325. We're going to do a different format. I don't know if you noticed, if you've been here for a while, I took a break for around a year from the podcast. Mainly, I wanted to rejuvenate the topics that I wanted to discuss, because after 324 episodes, I felt, for me, the topics became stale. So I wanted to talk to a variety of people. And we're going to be doing shorter seasons from now on. It will be 12 episodes, or 8 to 12 episodes, depending on how many guests I can line up, interesting guests, right, to talk about more than just sales engineering. Because nowadays, sales engineering is becoming more than just sales engineering. We're working with sales, obviously, but we have to work with procurement. Maybe not personally, but we have to help the salesperson work with procurement. We have to work with marketing. If you're a leader, what are you thinking about? These are the things that I'm looking to dissect over the next 12 episodes for this season. So this is season 2, episode 1. If you want, you can look at it that way. Maybe it'll be easier to track. But our first guest for this season is Ron Whitson, who's been in sales engineering for 26 years. And he was at Oracle when I interviewed this, or he was, I can't remember the company. Let's see. He was at Seismic when I recorded this podcast with him. He's no longer there. He's off on doing his own thing. And he wrote a book. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about how shifting our mentality when it comes to discovery. And we're going to talk about the 7 behaviors that help us improve as sales engineers. So if this sounds interesting, stay tuned. Let's jump into the show. Hey, Ron. This is an awkward start. How you doing?
I'm great, Ramsey. Good to see you, man. How are you today?
I am doing well. I'm a little bit hungry, but I don't think anybody cares about that.
Probably not.
No. So for those who don't know who you are, do you mind introducing yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Ron Whitson. I currently serve as the Vice President of Global Pre-Sales Services, or GPS, at a company called Seismic. I've been in pre-sales for 26 years now. It's a really long time. Probably about half of that in leadership roles. And I actually did go to the dark side for 3 years and took a turn as a seller. I wanted to add that to my experience, and I really do believe it's made me better at my job as a pre-sales person.
So many questions. What was the role called 26 years ago?
The very first role was a sales engineer. I had been a very technical guy, and I had hired this gentleman named Shane Phillips, and we were working for a consulting firm, and one of our clients bought a software tool called Main Control, and they were a new company to the U.S. It was an Israeli guy and a German guy, and they brought over a product for IT asset management to the U.S. And they ended up hiring Shane as their first sales engineer. And about a year after he was there, he called me up, and I tell the story all the time, but he says, "Hey, Ron, there's this thing called a sales engineer." He says, "I think you'd like it. I think you'd be good at it." And that was my door into pre-sales. And we went and did some interviews, and he brought me on board and showed me the ropes, and it's been a lot of fun ever since then.
Do you remember why he said you'd be good at it?
I have no idea. We had worked together a lot, and we were, friends and buddies, and we both had, very technical nature, and we were friendly, I guess. So yeah, I'll have to ask him.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be curious. Because nobody thought I'd be a good sales engineer, and they're mostly right. I studied engineering, so I don't have to talk to people.
Exactly.
This is where I'm at right now. Doing interviews with other SEs, so that's great. So
the way we met is through Chris White's mastermind, right?
For the
The Six
Six
Habits
Habits, yep,
Mastermind.
certification team. Yeah.
Yeah. And you did a presentation about discovery.
Yes.
And I am very curious, why did you bother to write a thing about discovery, since SEs don't have to be part of discovery?
Well, that's news to me about SEs not being part of it. No, Chris had asked if I was interested in hosting a session, and we were talking about discovery. And I have a lot of thoughts about discovery. I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things, but discovery was one that I had to learn how to get better at over time. And I kind of start off that presentation talking about, I think too often we use discovery in a very selfish way. And what I mean by that is, at least for myself, when I was first in this job and figuring out discovery and stuff, it was me finding out what I needed to know so I could do a good demo and get the pat on the back and, the kudos from the salespeople and things like that. And my feelings on discovery have changed a lot over the 26 years. And now I see it as it's time for our prospect. It's time for our customer. It's time for me to learn from them. And it's not an opportunity for me to see what I need to do to make my demo good. It's an opportunity for me to learn from them and truly understand the business challenge that they would like to solve. And then to understand, do I have a solution that can help them solve that? And, I'd like to go a little bit further too and understand what would be the benefits to them if we do solve that, so I can give them a really compelling business argument when we go in for that presentation.
So what made you shift that perspective from I need to know what I need to know so I can demo, to I need to know what I need to know so I can help them?
Yeah, it was just kind of awareness over time. And again, it wasn't anything that happened early on. I mean, it took a number of years to kind of learn that motion and figure that out. And it was really more driven by creating the relationships with people and understanding that the demo, the big meeting, it's not all about me. I mean, I was very cocky and arrogant. I had all my stuff working and I was going to deliver the perfect demo where, all the slides happened the right way and all the technology worked the right way. But it was one of those things where it's like, oh, wow, it really isn't about me. It's about my customer. I'll tell you a quick story. A lot of people who are in this business, in this profession, have a story like this, but I will never forget. And this is back when we were on site all the time. So we had just crushed the meeting. I'm feeling, 10 feet tall, did a great job. All the technology worked, and we're high-fiving each other as we're leaving the meeting place, and we're in the lobby. And we happened to notice, oh, wait, there's the team from the competitors coming in for their meeting. And I just remember thinking that day, wait a minute, that guy's going to go in there and they're going to deliver their demo, their presentation. They're probably going to give themselves high fives and think they did a really good job. Why should they like mine any better? And so it really set me down this path of shifting the focus from the things that I think I'm there to do in the meeting, and really shifting towards I'm in there to help my prospect, help my customers, and learn from them and be of service to them. And it sounds like I think it can be a very subtle mindset change, but it really dramatically altered a lot of the approaches I was taking to what I do.
It's funny because I wrote a LinkedIn post yesterday about we get angry at sales engineers. Sales engineers get angry at salespeople because they don't invite us to their meetings because we can't do our job if they don't invite us. And sales get angry at customers for not responding to emails because then salespeople can't do their job. And I realized nobody cares what your job is. Everybody cares what their job is. And the only way they would care about my job is if I help them do their job.
Yes. What's in it for them?
Yeah.
How can you help them?
Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Did that let me put it this. You were asking questions one way to figure out what you need to demo. Did it change what you were asking or how you were asking? What changed in the demo process for you,
really?
in the discovery process
Yeah.
for you?
No, that's insightful. What it changed was, instead of me thinking about here's what I'm going to show, then here's what I'm going to show next, and here's what I'm going to show next, it deepened the conversation because I really needed to understand, okay, so you're having trouble onboarding your reps faster. Well, what does that mean to your organization? How much time are they taking to onboard? What would you do with that extra time? And just really taking the extra time to go a little bit deeper. And again, with the focus shift towards understanding that versus I got to get through my list so I know what to show or not show, that was the big change. And again, just the depth of conversation, it made discovery take a little bit longer. And so sometimes the reps didn't appreciate that, but it was much deeper, and it was a fuller understanding of what they're trying to solve versus what do I need to show?
This might be completely off base. I feel like you're saying it went from trying to figure out what to show to figuring out what to say that would be beneficial to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big piece of it, right? But really our job, and Chris talks about this, our job is to convince somebody. That's what we're there for. And we've got a lot of tools that we can use to convince someone. We could just go in there and speak very, cleverly and clearly and convince them that way. We could show them case studies and convince them through that method. We also had this prop called a demo that we could use to convince someone. So yeah, but I think you're not going to convince someone by just walking in, throwing down a stack of technical certifications and saying, this is the greatest software and check it out. This is cool. And we've got these wonderful product names and everything else. Again, like you said earlier, they don't care. What they care about is they've got something that is making their life or their business work challenging. It's creating some kind of a problem, and they've got to solve it. And your job is to convince them that the software that you're representing, the solution you're representing, will help them solve it and become that trusted advisor. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what it's about, not going in there and doing the select demo.
Yeah. It's funny that I heard you say that demo is a prop, because most people think the demo is the engine. They're selling by doing a demo.
Right.
Right. But we're not actually selling by doing a demo. We're selling by doing everything else around the demo.
Yeah.
And the demo is just a prop to actually help the customer visualize what they're going to see.
And it's funny to say that, Ramsey, because I hate the word demo, and I try to avoid saying it. So a lot of times you'll hear me say product demonstration. People are like, Rob, why do you say that? Why don't you say demo? It's because I hate the word. I think it demeans our profession. It reduces so much of what we do into this one moment in time, and we focus too much on that moment, the demo, right? It's not about that. It's about solving that business need. It's about convincing someone. It's about winning the technical choice, technical selection, vendor of choice, whatever you want to call it. You've got to get that. And that's what's important. And again, there's lots of ways I can do that. I can do it through slides. I can do it through case studies. I can do it through a POC. I can do it through product demonstration. So we don't want to, I think it also potentially limits how we approach an opportunity. If everything I'm supposed to do is just show up and give the demo, then that's a very narrow description of my job. And I want to do more than that. So yeah.
So this makes me think, like 26 years ago, I feel like a lot of people do demos today because it's just easy. It's there, right? It's always like the SaaS is always up. 26 years ago, I don't know what you were selling. What were you selling 26 years ago?
It was IT asset management software. It was one step away from, client server green screen scraping stuff. We had to have a SQL server, Windows NT server. We had to have all these servers actually installed on the laptop, which was interesting to say the least. We were running a VMware server and doing virtualization to make all this stuff happen. And there were plenty of times when, just because of the layers of technology you were using, it was a demo that was fraught with danger. There was another piece of it where there was a lot going on, and the software was very, very ugly as well. So we had success in doing a lot of whiteboarding and explaining and convincing people how this was going to help them from a whiteboarding standpoint. And then as we got into the product demonstration, it was kind of proving out the concepts that we had shared on the whiteboard. So it was an ugly baby. It was very unattractive, but it did really cool stuff. And again, when I say IT asset management, this is back in the day when Dell would call you and say, hey, Rams, you got this new company going on. We're going to let you lease all the laptops you need, be incredibly cheap every month. We'll set you up on a 3-year lease and you're all set. And you're like, oh man, this is fantastic. Thank you. So you get those 300 laptops or whatever, you distribute them. And then life is wonderful. You're making your lease payments, and then Dell calls you up at the end of 3 years and like, okay, hey, Ramsey, the lease is over. Are you ready to return those laptops? You're like, holy crap, where are they? How are they configured? What's on it? Did I buy this software? Did I add this RAM? You had no idea. So the
Yeah.
concept of understanding how you purchased something and how you configured it versus how it was in the field and be able to reclaim hardware and licenses before you returned it was big, because what typically happened is companies had no idea where this equipment was, and not just laptops, but servers and everything else. But they had no idea where the stuff was, so they ended up just cutting very large checks to the lease companies to buy out the equipment that they couldn't find. So that was my entree into sales engineering, was IT asset management. And I'll tell you what, it was to a really, really tough crowd, because you're selling that to IT people. And I love
Yeah.
IT people, but we are not good audiences for sales engineers, because
No.
everybody's wanting to play who's the smartest in the room.
Yeah. And usually they are smart. But the reason I was asking is, as I mentioned earlier, I feel like demos today, it's so easy to just demo it. Whereas earlier on, I've I feel, and you confirmed, I think you just confirmed it, we have to depend a lot more on actually doing discovery
Yes.
and then whiteboarding. Whereas right now, sometimes we use the demo as the customer demonstration as a crutch to do
Yes.
somewhat of a discovery.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think it's also important to think that there's a continuum, right? So if you're doing some PLG led stuff like Calendly, I love the Calendly solution, but it's pretty easy
Yeah.
to go in there and explain it and show it. As you move into like CRMs or true enterprise solutions, you're not just going to give someone a license, let them go in there and play around and see how it works. You really have to understand
Yeah.
what it is they're trying to solve and what components you need of this platform to deliver the solution. Um,
Yeah.
to throw you one other wrinkle in it, because again, when we started doing this way back when, it was not cloud architecture, it was client server. So not only were you coming up with the software solution, you were also understanding what servers they needed, how those servers had to be configured, what was the configuration on the individual machines that were going to access the solution. So it was a lot.
Yeah.
And plus you're walking back and forth up hills in the snow both ways. So
Right. So you came to the realization that you have to do a better discovery, and it's about them, not about you.
yes.
How did you actually, like, what were the steps that you took to change how you do discovery?
Threw the list of questions out the window, because the list of questions was almost an interrogation designed to elicit pieces of the product that I needed to show. And oh yeah, you want to see this? Okay, good. Now I've got that one checked off. And throwing those prefab questions out the window and just honestly having a conversation with the prospect about, okay, what are you trying to solve? And if you solve it, what does that mean? Oh, you've got extra time? What are some of the projects you would tackle if you had that extra time? If you saved this money, where would the company invest it? And when people hear those kinds of questions coming out of you, they have two paths that they could choose, right? They could just throw out some kind of answer, or they could actually go deeper and then understand and realize you as a partner in something, right? Someone who's really invested in them. And as people feel that you've got this authentic relationship and they're investing in you, they're going to give you more information, and more information I always thought was really good, because it helped me as far as what I was delivering to them from a solution standpoint.
I see two challenges with that.
Okay.
First off, I agree. I agree with you, but I see two challenges in people and SEs implementing it. One, a lot of SEs are very technical and they focus on the product, and their questions are around, like, what do you want to see? Right. So that's the first challenge,
Yep. Fair.
making SEs change their mind. And then the second challenge is what you just said. Like, some customers don't want to give you these answers. They just want to see their freaking products. So how do you do the mind shift for the technical SEs to switch from purely being technical to realizing they're part of sales?
Yeah.
And how do you make the customer see that it's beneficial to them to answer your questions?
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that we have to remember as pre-sales people, as sales engineers, is we are in a sales position. And what that means is you need the ability to develop and create and maintain relationships. And obviously some of that's apparent, right? I mean, we're creating relationships with the sellers, the AEs we support, but you've got to be able to create those better relationships with our customers to earn that trusted advisor status. And there are a lot of skills that are not necessarily second nature to technical people that are required for developing relationships, building relationships, and everything else. At least in the business world. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of technical people who have great personal relationships. But if we want to take that further, I think there's certain things. I think there are certain behaviors that we have to develop and follow. If you're able to do that, this is to answer the second part of your question. I think if you are someone who can build those relationships and maintain them, then I think that's going to directly lead to you having some success in this pre-sales role.
Well, that's the question. How do you enable? It took me a long time to figure out that I need to build relationships. Right? I thought I was just there to answer questions.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what a lot of SEs, or at least old school SEs. So, because I've been in sales for a while now. I'm in the dark side, and I have SEs who sit on a call with me and may not ask a question until I prompt them.
Right.
It's like, hey, is there anything you need to know? Did I miss anything? Just help me out. I'm technical, but I don't remember if I remember everything.
Yeah.
How do you get them more involved? How do you train them to do a better discovery?
That's a very good question. I learned this for myself and just kind of getting into my story. So as I got into the role, again, it was easy for me to do the demo, answer the technical questions, and make people feel at ease with my level of expertise around the solution. But guess what? That didn't mean that we won every deal. And if I'm going to do something, I want to be good at it. I want to be successful at it. So that kind of drove me to start looking at, what am I missing? Why are we not closing this business? We're obviously the best solution. And I explained that to them in the meeting, but they made a different decision. Why is that? And feedback I got from people who I was working with is feedback I think a lot of technical people get, which is, well, you need to work on your soft skills. You need to work on your people skills and stuff like that. And like, well, what the hell does that mean? Tell me more. And you can't just, again, we're SE, so we're problem solvers. Like, okay, let me go search soft skills. Let me go search people skills. And you find all this kind of stuff. But it doesn't direct us in a very specific place to work on that. So that actually set me down the path of identifying, and what I call them 7 timeless behaviors. And I think you have to do them in a certain order to develop this ability to be a friendly human and create these relationships and get that success. So, I mean, I'm happy to go through what the 7 timeless behaviors are, if you'd like to, and talk about those a little bit further.
Well, before that, are they in the book that you just wrote?
Yes, they are. Thank you for asking. And it's really cool. I got a proof copy the other day. So this is the book
Nice.
that I recently put together based on my experiences and the things that I had to learn for myself. And it's hard to see the subtitle, but the subtitle is about the seven timeless behaviors to drive success in technical sales.
I want to ask about the book specifically.
Sure.
And how the process, but I would love to go through those 7 activities that people need to do.
Sure.
First.
And just in case anyone would like, they can go out to timelessbehaviors.com. They're listed out there, but also they can sign up, and on launch day, which is September 12th, so it's not for sale just yet, but on launch day, there's going to be special discounts on the book if anyone's interested. And again, the behaviors are listed there, but I'll go through them quickly here. But the first one is be authentic. You're your most persuasive self when you are true and authentic, and people pick up on inauthenticity. Once you're being authentic, you need to listen actively. And I don't think you can listen actively if you're not being authentic. People will pick up on that and then they won't care. So again, you got to do 1 before you do 2. The third one is show empathy. And this kind of ties back in something that you and I were talking about a little bit earlier, as far as it's not about you, it's about them, and understanding their point of view and why are they wanting to fix this problem. And tell you what, when I did the sales role for 3 years, that really helped me develop a lot of empathy for my sellers as a technical person. 4 is have a conversation. And I think that's another critical piece of it. The conversation is how we develop those relationships, how we establish relationships, how we maintain them. To me, discovery is just a conversation. The product presentation is a conversation with the problem. I mentor a lot of people who are wanting to break into pre-sales and new to the role. And when they get these interviews, they get so worked up and nervous. And I think a lot of us have that problem. And when we're in that interview, we're not presenting our true authentic selves. We're trying to be Chat GPT or what we think that hiring manager wants us to be. And what I tell everyone is it's just a conversation. And the faster you can relax yourself and get into that conversational mode, the more your true individual is going to be present and they're going to see that. And if they like that, they want to hire it, it's fantastic. If they don't like it and they don't want to hire it, well, that's fantastic too, because then you would not be able to be you at that job. So have a conversation it's a big solution for a lot of stuff. 5 is practice humility. I know a lot of great pre-sales, technical sales people, and they are very, very full of themselves. And that's a turnoff. No, not you. You're very humble. Um, Number 6 is tell a story. And yes, there are formulaic story things, but to me, storytelling is speaking in plain language and conveying information through anecdotes and shared experiences. And then the last one, Townsend's behavior number 7, is leave an impression. And this ties back to the story I shared earlier about walking out of the lobby, thinking we had crushed it, and then seeing the other team there. And it really got me to thinking that, oh, wait a minute. This audience who I just wowed with my technical prowess, that's not the only one they're seeing. They're going to sit through, and studies show that audiences sit through between 5 to 8 technical presentations. And I worry that we start to sound and look the same. Everyone's got the NASCAR slide. Everyone's got the analyst slide. Oh, everybody loves us. We're so good. And then the salesperson stops talking. And then the geek who can speak starts talking. And, oh, this is amazing. And here's our zip thing. And this is wonderful that marketing told us. And check this out. No one else is. And at the end of it, you're going to sit through 5 or 8 of those. And your boss is going to come and, hey, Ramsey, thanks for being on part of the selection team. Which one of those did you think is going to do the best job for us? And you're
The cheapest.
yeah, they were all the same thing. So that got me thinking about, okay, I want to focus on a couple of things when I'm presenting. I want to try to keep my message and my presentation as simple as possible, because the simpler stuff is going to be more easily retained. And the second is, I want them to see me as that friendly human. That's part of the reason why the book is titled the way it is. Because if at the end of it, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, I liked Ron and that looked pretty simple, it would solve our problem. Maybe that's enough to get me through the next stage of the evaluation. And again, that's worked out for me pretty well. So those are the 7. I think you have to do them in order. And in the book, it talks about each of the behaviors, how to develop those behaviors. I've got stories from my career about when those behaviors were exhibited properly and sometimes when they were not exhibited properly. So I just try to make it a conversation like you and I sitting down today, and just make a conversation about these things.
So I have a question about all of them, but let's start with being authentic, obviously. Start with the number 1.
Good place to start.
Yeah. I've been lucky enough to be given the feedback from my customers that I seem authentic. But whenever we're meeting customers, we're putting on a show, right? Like we're putting on a performance in a way. We're on our best behavior. It's like going on a date for the first time.
Exactly right.
Right. So most people I know don't feel authentic on that. Like we're on our best behavior. We want to show the product where everything's good. How does one be authentic? And maybe we should define authentic, because maybe I am being authentic and I don't even know it.
I believe you are authentic because what I perceive from you in your brand aligns with the person who I've gotten to know a bit, right? I think authenticity is having your outward actions match your inner values. And of course, when we're doing a product presentation, we want to gloss over, the bad parts. I don't think we should ever lie, though. I never talked bad about my competitors. I always talked about what my solution was capable of, and people can do their own research on that. Now, would I set the occasional, trap? Of course I would. But I'm not going to sit there and say, okay, these guys suck, so you shouldn't buy that, and we're so good. It would be, here's what our solution can do. I think these things are important to you. So I think aligning your actions to your brand and your reputation, And there's a couple of people I call it in the book, famous people who people are probably familiar with, who, if you think about those people, yeah, they seem to come across as what they present themselves to be. So that's how I think about authenticity.
Okay. It's funny you were talking about don't talk trash about your competitors. There's a story behind me personally. I worked for one company and I moved from one company to its competitor, and I never talked trash about either one. And actually, my one of the old team that I used to work with came to me like 2 months after I had moved, and they said, "Ramsey, we've been waiting for you to talk trash about your previous company so we could stop buying from you." And you never did. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what to do about that specific situation.
That,
So yeah,
that's
there
a
are
great,
many reasons.
yeah, that's a great example. So that value and your personal brand and reputation of being a straight shooter and not doing that, that your actions aligned with that. So kudos to you.
Oh, thank you. Also, if I had talked trash about the competitor while I was in the first company, it probably never moved. So would have been worse off. Um, how does one practice humility?
You practice humility by changing the focus to the other person, and it is not about you. Um, I have found, and again, I've had the great honor of having some leadership positions for a big part of my career. And early on, I was a manager, and I talk a lot about leader versus manager. I strive to be a leader. I hope I'm a leader most of the time. Um, Early on, I was a manager in that I knew everything. And my job as a manager was to instruct everyone else how to do everything. And it was very much focused on me. It was my team, and my team has done this. And that was the kind of language. And I had the great privilege of going through IBM's manager training. And it was transformational for me as far as how it helped me think about the job and leading people and a bunch of different things. It was really, really useful. It was the first and only time that I have shown up at an airport and there's a person in a suit with my name on a plaque. So I felt really, really special. But they put you in the car, they drive you to the headquarters out in Armonk, and this place is amazing. It's got, the suites that you stay in. It's got classrooms. It's got a cafeteria. It's got a gym, and you were there for the week. You're pretty much locked down learning, but it was fantastic. But ever since then, what I have found is the more that I defer recognition to the team who I'm working with, the better it's worked out for me. And some magic thing happens, and that recognition gets reflected back, and I get the credit for it. I just don't have to be the one shooting my mouth off about all the stuff we did. So it's not about me. It's about the team and what the team is accomplishing. It's not about me as far as the discovery. It's about my prospect and the problem they're trying to solve and how I can help them. So it's a really subtle thing, but it's shifting that focus to something besides yourself.
It's like coming from a place of service, whether it's
100%.
to your team or to your customers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. How do you leave an impression that's better than the competitor? The competitor is doing exactly what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? Because we're all talking about sales engineering. That's something that just dawned on me. You're telling people exactly how to be better at sales engineering, whether it's you or the competitor.
Yep.
And now they're going to do the same thing as you're doing by going deeper and, practicing humility, telling a story. How do you still leave an impression?
I think it's about giving them an experience that they didn't expect. And I think
Okay.
if a bunch of us listening to this, if we were told we need to be on a demo tomorrow, I think for many of us, the initial reaction would not be one of excitement. It'd be one of, oh boy, here we go. And it's easy to imagine, especially as sales engineers, if we were on that presentation, we would be in a mode where we would want to nitpick and find the errors and, well, I would do it differently, right? I mean, that's sales engineers
Yeah.
are the worst audience for a demo. I mean, come on, we are horrible at it. So if I can come to this product demonstration and give you an experience that you didn't expect, I think you're going to remember that. And so how do you do that? I think it goes back to a couple of things I said earlier as far as having your message really crisp and simple. I call it saying at 30,000 feet too, right? I want to keep the demonstration at a high level. If someone asks a question that I got to dive down to answer, fine. I'll dive down. I'll prove that I can answer the technical questions that they want, but then I'm pulling back on the stick to get back to 30,000 feet. And that's all about retention, because they're not going to remember product names. They're not going to remember all the technical details and integrations that you're talking about. They're going to remember, could you solve the problem or not? Did it look easy or not? Did they like you or not? So those are the things that I think about when I'm presenting.
So one of the salespeople that I started working with early on in my SE career kept telling me that I should use the product name. Like you should use like I'm doing branding.
Right.
Like, and then we had like 600 products. And if we're talking about 3 or 4 different ones, I can see my customers doing like, which one is that you're talking about? And when I stopped using the names, my customers felt better. My AE got more angry.
Sure. Marketing
I
probably
had to
didn't
deal
like
with
you
that.
either.
Well, it's a big company, so marketing never saw me in front of the customer. Right. When I closed the deal, they were happy, and so was my salesperson. But during the calls, like Ramsey, use the name, and he would start using the names because I'm not, and they would get confused again. But yeah, it's just I'm happy you said don't the product names don't really matter as long as
They
it
don't
solves the
matter
problem.
at all. I mean, just use your company name. But one of the things I love to do is give people an example completely outside of what they're used to, right? To illustrate a point. So let's say you and I, we want to go buy a car, and the car salesman, pops up to us, and he doesn't ask us, what are we trying to do? He's not doing any discovery to figure out what vehicle we need. All of a sudden he starts out, oh, Ron Ramsey, this is the car right here. It's got a turbo diesel engine. It's got, hill descent assist. We've got these perforated leather seats that are cool, and just starts running down a feature list. We're not going to remember that. We want to know, does the truck feel good? Does it drive the way we want it? Can we pull stuff with it? That's about it, right? So
does it fit my family in the car?
Yeah. So product names, I mean, marketing loves those. Some of the product people, get very invested in, hey, I built this thing. It's the product name. Your customer, your audience, your prospect, they're not going to remember those product names. You're just going to confuse them. And I remember one time specifically where I was giving a lot of product names out. That was what we were told to do, right? And so after the meeting, as we're kind of wrapping up next steps, it was almost like the customer felt like they were trying to fill in the order form. Okay, so I need 1 of these and 4 of these. Oh, no, we don't need those. But you talked about that. Well, down the road, you might need that. Okay, so I don't need, it was just a big mess. And it was clear that we didn't listen.
And I can tell that my customers don't really know the products because I've had customers reach out to me and use the name of my competitor's product to buy from me. Say, do you mean this product? It's like, yeah, whatever. They're the same thing. Just all right, if they're the same thing, why are you buying from me? Well, you did a better job presenting. All right,
There you go.
So that was pretty much it. One thing that we did that was fun on the 6 Habits Mastermind was we played some games.
Yes.
I'm putting you on the spot. I don't know if you have any games prepared or anything, but if you have one, I'd love to share an example of a game with the audience. If not, that's fine. I'll cut the whole thing out and no one will know.
No. No, I love these games. So, and again, it's about this idea of, yes, you could role play selling your product to somebody. And then the focus is sometimes too much on what it is, the product, everything, as opposed to a new process that we're trying to learn. So what I would like is you are going to be the seller, right? This is going to be some discovery, some objection handling. So you're selling, and what you're selling is you're selling a luxury watch. Okay, so you've got a luxury watch that you're selling me, and you're going to have to do some discovery about me and try to sell me on this watch. So I'll turn the spotlight back on you. And
this is a gold watch. It has hands that tick. Is that a good discovery? Is that a good start? And it was a joke, lame joke, but it was an attempt on a joke. Hey, Ron, so what brings you in today?
Well, I was walking by and I saw the nice display in the window. So I thought I'd come in. It's kind of hot outside. So the AC is nice and you look like a friendly person. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. The AC is nice, and we're happy to have you. Did anything catch your eye while you were out there?
You had a lot of nice little watches in the window there. So, yeah.
What made them nice to you?
Um, they are good brands and they are attractive looking. So I thought I'd come in and just see what you had.
Is there anything specific you would like to see?
No, I just like to look and browse and see if anything catches my eye.
Okay. Maybe I can help. Is there anything specific that you usually say catches your eye?
I don't like the chronographs. I like just a nice simple dial.
Oh, that's nice. And are you interested or looking for yourself, or is there a special occasion? Is it so to a friend, a gift to a friend? What are you looking for?
That would just be for me.
Just okay. What was the first question I asked? I remember. That's interesting. Uh, is there a special occasion that you're looking to buy?
Well, I've got a book launch coming up, so it's going to be a little gift to myself.
Ooh. Oh, that's nice. Well, tell me a little bit more about the book.
But you see, I mean, this is something that I think we could actually role play with our teams and just come up with some of
Yep.
these silly examples and practice that going just like you were doing, going those different levels of details. Because what was that? That was you and I having a conversation. You weren't trying to
Yeah.
check off a list of things that you needed to show in some upcoming demo. You're just talking to another friendly person. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I made the mistake early on by focusing on the watch. Right. It
Dude,
wasn't until half.
that's what we do, though. We've got software to sell. That's what we're focused on. That's
I
exactly the point.
I know, but I think I would have enjoyed it like if I was able to get something personal about you, like a book launch. Like, all right, crap, tell me about the book launch, because that'll get me excited. It will get you excited to talk about it, and now we're developing a relationship,
Exactly right.
and it's no longer about the product; it's about us as human beings.
You nailed it.
So,
That is exactly it. Well done.
okay. So about this book, and when we decided to jump upon a call, I didn't know you had a book. Uh, so I'm glad you wrote one. What made you write one?
Oh, wow. I think there's been a book up here for a while. I've got lots of stories from doing this and I've learned so much. But the problem that I had was I didn't understand, I didn't know what format it would take. I didn't know what purpose it would serve. I didn't know how it was not going to be just a vanity project. And you know what? I read Chris's book and I saw an example of him taking his learnings and making it something that could help others. I think the Six Habits is an excellent framework for what it is that we do. And I talked to a lot of people who are breaking into pre-sales. And if you don't know how to do sales engineering, you can go buy Chris's book, The Six Habits of Highly Effective Sales Engineers. My copy is right there. And you've got a great framework for how to do the aspects of our job. I mean, you go deeper in different areas, certainly, but that's and the light kind of clicked on. It's like, okay, so if there's a way that I could share some of the things that I've had to learn and some of the mistakes I've made over my career, if that could benefit someone else, I think that would be a good thing. And so that kind of became the reason for the existence of the book. The framework came together pretty quickly, working with my writing coach. And it was funny because the first step was to do this detailed outline. And I got that assignment, and that assignment was done in an hour. So all of it was there. And the book is actually very true to that original outline. So again, it was there. That gave me a structure. And then I started back in February. February 25th was the first night I started putting words in the document. And 4 months later, it was materially complete. And this sounds like a long time, but it was really writing 3 or 4 nights a week because I'd get done from playing tennis and come back here in the office and turn the lights on, put some music on, and start typing away. And yeah, so that's kind of the process.
How many versions did you have to write? How many drafts did you end up writing?
It's really one draft. I had one. I wrote the whole thing in Google Doc. I mean, that's what I use, and I had some people review. My wife is a journalist and an excellent editor, so she of course was helping. I had some other friends, look through it and give me some feedback as we were going, and so a few things would change here and there, but it was basically
Okay,
one draft that kind of made it into this final version.
nice. You mentioned as soon as you said writing coach, for some reason in my head, what popped in my head is there's a coach for almost everything.
Yes.
But for some reason, for sales engineers or even solution software engineers, any other kind of engineers, we just depend on our manager to be our coach.
Yes.
I am biased. I coach. So, but I love your honest opinion. Do you think most SEs would benefit from a coach?
100%.
Or
100%.
so what?
Everybody would benefit from a coach. The problem that we have in sales engineering is typically we don't get allocated any money. That all goes to the sellers, right? And I think this is a huge mistake that companies make. All the money goes to the sellers, and it's like, oh, well, we're going to train the sellers. Let's have the SE sit in on the training. And the training is worthless for us. And again, okay, maybe worthless is too strong, but yes, I need to know the account strategy. I need to know how we're using the CRM and things like that. But I don't need to sit in there when they're talking about negotiating a deal. I don't need to sit in there necessarily when they're talking about some of the sales and prospecting aspects of it. I need training for sales engineers. And I think it's a lot of the things we're talking about in the book. I think it's a lot of the things that you and I are talking about, going deeper on discovery, being better at objection handling, those types of things that could really yield a lot of benefit. It's funny. My friend who I grew up with in high school is actually the president and CEO of Zig Ziglar International. And he's got a training company. And so he and I are talking about developing some very specific training that would go hand in hand with their sales training focused on the technical people. I think it's a huge opportunity. We just have to figure out how to get some money that we can spend for going out and seeking this training. Now, all that being said, there's a lot of great organizations out there. I'm a member of the Pre-Sales Collective and the Pre-Sales Leadership Collective. I think wherever you're at in your career, join the Pre-Sales Collective. You're going to find someone that could be a coach to you, could be a mentor, could just be another peer that you could, share some cool stories with. So I think that is a great way for us to get connected and share and help each other in a lot of ways.
It's funny because last mastermind with Chris, I told Chris he should have wrote the book, The 6 Habits of Highly Effective Sales Professionals.
I remember that. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was it. So, any questions that you were hoping I was going to ask you, but I didn't.
I can't think of any.
Okay, you have a bunch of stuff on your wall, which are, I don't know why they're drawing my attention. These are classic tennis rackets behind you?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, if anybody sees me on LinkedIn, they see the tennis ball. Tennis has been an important part of my life for the last 20 years. I play a lot of tennis. I actually played this morning, earlier today. Well, this morning would be earlier today. But anyway, I played this morning. I'm going to play this weekend. I have not played with these. The kids gave me the print in the middle, which is like a, what do you call it? Patent of a tennis racket. And then I had, you can't see, there's actually 4 rackets around it, but I had the rackets. Okay. So when I figured out that I was going to be sitting here for most of my work life, it's like, well, let's have an interesting background. And so those things went up, and it's cool because it started a lot of conversations with people. Yeah. The little card is my 7-year anniversary with Seismic, so that's kind of cool. And then the vanity print of the book, so that's kind of fun. And then someone asked me a couple of weeks ago, they said, "Oh, you're into fishing, huh?" I said, "Okay, I'm not sure where they're getting fishing." And instead of seeing
Star Trek,
instead of seeing Captain Kirk with a phase rifle, they saw someone with a fishing pole. So,
okay. And you're also into X-Men. It looks like
that was another gift from the kids. It's the first 10 X-Men comics reproduced digitally with a bunch of backstories. It's an amazing book. Big coffee table. It's also heavy as heck. It's like 25 pounds.
It looks pretty big. It's a workout. you can read and work out at the same
Exactly
time now.
right.
So, Ron, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Any final thoughts before we end?
No, Ramsey, this is great. This has been a podcast I've heard of for a while, so it is such an honor to be part of it. It's been great getting to know you with the mastermind and some of the things we've been doing, and please keep up the good work.
Thank you. And it was nice meeting you as well. So we'll talk soon. Take care.
And that's the end of the show. Hope you liked it. What are some of your takeaways? I'd be interested to know. If there's any topics or anyone you think that I should be interviewing, please let me know. Check out the SE hotline, wetheSalesEngineers.com/SE-coaching if you're looking for help. With that, I'm signing off.